The Stolen Presentation. Sarah worked on her project for 6 months. 12 hours before the biggest presentation of her career, she had lunch with her colleague David. By morning, she was writhing in pain at the hospital. David delivered her presentation and got her promotion. But when she showed HR the security camera footage of what David did her a coffee, he lost more than just his job. Hey everyone, this disturbing story comes from the internet. Names have been changed for privacy, but what happened to this woman will make you never trust your coworkers again. Let's jump it. Sarah Jenkins had worked at the Tech Vision Solutions as a major software company in Austin, Texas for 7 years. She started as a junior sales associate and climbed her way up senior sales manager through pure grit and determination. At 34, Sarah was good at her job, really good. She consistently hit 120% of her sales target. Her team loved her, clients trusted her. But there was one position that had been dreaming about since day one: Vice President of International Sales. In January 2024, Sarah's boss, CEO Michael Torres, called her into his office. Sarah were planning to expand into the Asian market: Japan, South Korea, Singapore. It's a $500 million opportunity over the next 5 years. Sarah's heart raced. This was huge. I want you to develop the complete marketing entry strategy. Michael continued, you'll have 6 months. If the board approves your plan, you'll be promoted to VP of International Sales. This is your shoot. Sarah practically floated out of his office. For the next 6 months, Sarah lived and breathed this project. She researched market trends, cultural business practices, competitor analysis. She flew to Tokyo twice for preliminary meetings with potential partners. She built financial models. She created 150-slide presentation deck that was absolutely flawless. She worked nights, weekends, holidays. Her boyfriend complained she was never home. She didn't care. This was her moment. Throughout all of this, one colleague was always there: David Chen. David was a senior sales manager too, same level as Sarah. They joined the company around the same time. David had also wanted to VP position, but Michael had chosen Sarah for the project. No hard feelings. David had said with a smile, "You're the better choice. Let me know if you need any help." Sarah appreciated his attitude, unlike other competitive colleagues. David seemed genuinely supportive. When Sarah needed feedback on her presentation, David volunteered. When she needed someone to practice her pitch with, David stayed late. When she was stressed, David brought her coffee. "You're going to crush this," David would say encouragingly. "That VP title is yours." Sarah considered David a friend, a real friend in the coach-run world, a corporate of sales. She had no idea he was planning to destroy her. July 14, 2024, the presentation to the CEO and board of directors was scheduled for 9 a.m. the next morning. Sarah was in the office putting final touches on her deck. David stopped by her desk around 6 p.m. "Hey Sarah, you look exhausted. Have you eaten?" Sarah realized she hadn't. "No, I've been too focused. Come on, let's grab dinner. You need to eat before the big day, my treat." They went to a nice Italian restaurant near the office. David ordered wine. Sarah hesitated. She wanted to stay sharp, but David insisted. "One glass won't hurt. You need to relax." Over dinner, David asked about her presentation. "I'm feeling good about it," Sarah said. "The financial projections are solid. The partnership strategies are innovative." "Can I see it?" David asked. "Just to give a final feedback? Fresh eyes might catch something." Sarah hesitated. The presentation was propriety-sensitive information. "David, I don't know. I'm pretty confidential." "Sarah, come on, it's me. I've been helping you for months, and just to make you sure 100% ready. I promise I won't share it with anyone." Sarah felt guilty for adopting him. David had been nothing too supportive, but supportive. "Okay," she said, pulling out her laptop. But just a quick look. She pulled up the presentation. David studied it carefully, asking questions, nodding appreciatively. This is brilliant, Sarah. Seriously, you're going to blow them away. Thanks, David. Sarah felt warm. From the wine, from the praise, from the relief. Actually, David said, would you mind emailing me the file? I want to review the financial models more carefully tonight and send you some final thoughts. David, I really shouldn't. I get it, but Sarah, we're friends, right? I want to see you succeed. Let me help you to be perfect. The wine had made Sarah's judgment foggy. David's smile was so sincere. Okay, she said, sending the files from her phone. But please, delete it after you review it. Of course, David said, I promise. They finished dinner. David walked Sarah to her car. Get some sleep, he said. Tomorrow you are going to become a VP. Sarah drove her, feeling confident. She had a friend in her corner. Everything was going to be perfect. What she didn't notice was David slipping something into her coffee when she went to the bathroom at the restaurant. Sarah woke up at 3 p.m. in excruciating pain. Her stomach was on fire. She ran to the bathroom and vomited violently. Then came the diarrhea, then more vomiting. She'd never felt this sick in her life. But 5 a.m., she was on the floor on her bathroom, unable to stand. She called 911. The paramedics arrived and rushed her to the hospital. Severe food poisoning, they said, possibly salmonella or norovirus. Sarah tried to explain through her delirium. I have presentation 9 a.m. CEO Board of Directors. Ma'am, you're not going to anywhere. The doctor said firmly. Your body is severely dehydrated. You need IV fluids. You'll be here at least 24 hours. No, Sarah was crying. This is my career, please. She tried to call Michael Torres. Her hands were shaking so badly. She could barely hold her phone. Michael, she cried. I'm in the hospital, food poisoning. I can't make the presentation. Sarah, are you okay? What hospital? David's. Michael. I'm so sorry. Can we reschedule? Sarah, the entire board flew in from New York for this. We can't reschedule. Sarah felt her board collapsing. I can't send someone else. It presented it. Who knows this material as well as you? Sarah's mind raced through her team. No one. She worked on this alone for 6 months. Then she thought of David. David Chen, she said. He's reviewed the whole presentation. He knows it. He can do it. There was a pause. Okay, I'll call David. Sarah focused on getting better. We'll figure this out. Sarah hung up and sobbed. 6 months of work, the opportunity of a lifetime, and she was lying in a hospital bed. At 7 a.m., David Chen's phone rang. David, it's Michael Torres. Sarah in the hospital with severe food poisoning. She says you're familiar with her Asian market presentation. Can you deliver it to the board at 9? David's voice was concerned, sympathetic. Oh my God, is Sarah okay? She will be. Can you do the presentation? Of course, Michael. Sarah's been sharing her progress with me. I know the material. Well, I'll do it for her. Great. See you at 9. David hung up and smiled. Everything was going according to plan. At 9 a.m. sharp, David Chen walked into the boardroom in a sharp navy suit, carrying Sarah's presentation on a USB drive. Good morning, everyone. I'm David Chen, Senior Sales Manager. Unfortunately, Sarah Jenkins was hospitalized early this morning with severe food poisoning. She asked me to deliver this presentation on her behalf. The board members murmured sympathetically. For the next 90 minutes, David presented Sarah's work flawlessly. He spoke with confidence about market penetration strategies. He answered questions about the financial models. He impressed the board with cultural insights about Japanese business etiquette. Everything was Sarah's work, her research, her analysis, her words. But David's delivered it like a seasoned executive. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. Exceptional work, said the board chair. This is exactly the kind of strategic thinking we need. Michael Torres stood up. David, this was outstanding. I had no idea you'd been this involved in the project. David smiled humbly. Sarah and I collaborated closely. She's an incredible colleague. I just hope she recovers quickly." After the board members left, Michael pulled David aside. "David, I'm going to be honest with you, that presentation was VP level work. The board was incredibly impressed, not just with the strategy, but with how you handled yourself in there." David's heart raced. "Thank you, Michael. We were planning to promote Sarah to VP of International Sales," Michael continued. "But given that you clearly know this material just as well, and you've been proved you can perform under pressure, I'd like to offer the position to you instead." David pretended to think about it. "I accept. Thank you, Michael." They shook hands. David walked out of that office with everything Sarah had worked 6 months to earn. And Sarah was lying in a hospital bed, completely unaware. Sarah was released from the hospital 2 days later, weeked up recovering. She checked her phone, 57 missed messages. Most were congratulations from colleagues. She was confused until she read one from her friend Maya in accounting. "Sarah, I can't believe David got the VP promotion, but you should be so proud. Your presentation was amazing. David said you two worked on it together. You're such a team player." Sarah's blood ran cold. She called Michael Torres immediately. "Michael, what happened? Did the board reject my proposal?" "Rejected? Sarah, it was brilliant. The board loved it. That's why he promoted David." "Promoted David?" Sarah. "David delivered your presentation flawlessly. He demonstrated executive leadership. The board was unanimous." "Michael, that was my work. My 6 months of research. David just reviewed it the night before." "Sarah, David said you two collaborated extensively." "He lied. I sent him the file the night before to give him feedback." "That's it. Michael was quit." "Sarah, I understand you're upset about being sick, but accusing David of..." "I'm not accusing, I'm telling you. He stole my work and took my promotion." "This doesn't sound like you. Sarah, you're usually professional. Maybe take a few more days to recover." The call ended. Sarah sat in her apartment, shaking with the rage and disbelief. David had stolen everything, but how could she prove it? She spent the next week investigating. She went through her files, looking for anything that could prove the work was hers alone. File metadata showed she's created every single slide. The research documented were all under her name, her travel receipts to Tokyo, her meeting notes. But David's defense was simple. "We collaborated, she just bitter. I got the promotion." Sarah needed something irrefutable that she remembered the restaurant. Sarah went back to the Italian restaurant where she and David had dinner on July 14th. "Hi, I had dinner here 2 weeks ago. Do you keep security camera footage?" The manager looked skeptical. "Why do you need it?" "I believe someone poisoned my food. I was hospitalized with severe food poisoning. The next morning, I need to see the footage." The manager's expression changed. "Oh my God. Yes, we keep footage for 30 days. Let me check." 20 minutes later, Sarah was watching the footage in the manager's office. There she was sitting with David, laughing, drinking wine, showing him her laptop. Then, at the time step 7:43 p.m., Sarah stood up and walked toward the bathroom. David looked around casually, then his hand moved to his pocket. He pulled out a small vial. He poured something into Sarah's coffee cup. He stirred it with her spoon. He put the vial back in his pocket. The whole thing took 8 seconds. Sarah felt like she couldn't breathe. "Can I get a copy of this?" she whispered. "I'm calling the police," the manager said. "This is poisoning. This is a felony." Sarah also discovered something else. Her company's office had security cameras in common areas, including the kitchen where the coffee machine was located. They requested footage from IT, claiming she'd lost her watch. They wanted to check if she'd left it in the kitchen. Then IT guy gave access to 2 weeks of footage. Sarah found what she was looking for. July 14th, 6:15 p.m., before they left for dinner. David was in the kitchen alone. He made 2 cups of coffee. He pulled the same small vial from his pocket and pouring something into 1 cup. He threw the vial in the trash. Sarah's hands were shaking as she downloaded the footage. She trusted him. She called him her friend and he'd poisoned her to steal her career. But there was more. Sarah hired a digital forensic expert named Dr. Lisa Monroe to analyze the presentation file. Dr. Monroe examined the metadata, edit history, and embedded information. This file was created by you on January 15, 2024, Dr. Monroe said. Every slide, every graph, every piece of text was created by your user account. David Chen's user account appears in the file history exactly once, on July 14th at 8:47 p.m. when he opened it. He made 0 edits, he just removed it. Can you testify to that in court? Sarah asked. Absolutely. Sarah had everything she needed. Sarah went to HR with a lawyer, the security footage, the digital forensic report, and the medical records from her hospitalization. The HR director, Patricia Owens, watched the restaurant footage 3 times in silence. This is criminal, Patricia said finally. We need to involve the police immediately. I want to handle this through the company first, Sarah said. I want David hired. I want my promotion. I want him prosecuted. You'll have all 3, Patricia promised. The next day, David was called into a conference room. Sarah was there. Patricia was there. The company's legal counsel was there, and 2 police officers were standing by the door. David, we're terminating your employment effective immediately, Patricia said. David looked shocked. What? Why? Because you poisoned Sarah Jenkins, stole her work, and fraudulently obtained a promotion through corporate espionage. David's face went white. That's insane. I didn't. Sarah slid a laptop across the table and pressed play. The restaurant footage played. David watching her walk away. David pulling out of the vial. David pouring it into her coffee. Then the office kitchen footage. David doing the same thing hours earlier. We also have digital forensic evidence proving you contributed nothing to the presentation you delivered. Patricia continued. Now we have Sarah's medical records showing she was hospitalized with poisoning the morning of her presentation. David opened his mouth. Nothing came out. One of the police officers stepped forward. David Chen, you're under arrest for assault with a deadly weapon, corporate espionage, and fraud. As they handcuffed him, David looked at Sarah. I'm sorry, he whispered. No, you're not, Sarah said coldly. You're sorry you got caught. David was escorted out of the building in handcuffs. Several employees watched in shock. David Chen was charged with felony assault, the poisoning of the trade secrets, and fraud. He pleaded guilty to avoid trial and was sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to pay Sarah $200,000 in damages. His career was destroyed. No company would ever hire him again. Meanwhile, Michael Torres called Sarah into his office. Sarah, I owe you to the apology of a lifetime. I should have listened to you. I should have investigated immediately. Yes, you should have, Sarah said bluntly. Sarah considered it. I want $50,000 and I want a public statement from the company explaining what David did. Done. 6 months later, Sarah was thriving as VP of International Sales. She successfully launched the Asian expansion. Revenue from Japan alone hit $45 million in the first quarter. She was promoted again to Senior Vice President. And David, he was inmate at the Texas State Prison serving his sentence. Sarah kept the security camera footage on her laptop as a reminder. Never trust anyone in corporate America, not even your friends, because when ambitions meets opportunity, some people will do anything, even poison you to get a hit. Comment section. Holy cow, that was dark. Let's see what you all think about this insane workplace betrayal. Here are top 5 comments. Comment number 5. I worked in a tech sale for 15 years and I'm telling you, this stuff happens more than you think. Maybe not poisoning, but stealing presentation, taking credits for other work every single day. Always protect your files. Comment number 4. The fact that he poisoned her, what he takes this from office drama to criminal. He didn't just steal her work, he physically harmed her to do it. 3 years in prison isn't enough. Comment number 3. PSA. Most restaurants and offices have security cameras and keep footage for 30 to 90 days. If something suspicious happens to you, request the footage immediately. Sarah is genius for thinking of this. Comment number 2. David pretended to be her friend for 6 months just to position himself to steal her work. The long-time manipulation is terrifying. This is why women in manipulated fields have trusted issues. We've all met a David. Comment number 1. He poisoned her, stole 6 months of her work, took her promotion, and had the audacity to say I'm sorry when he got a cut. She security footage achieves key evidence. This woman a legend for now, for how she took him down. Metadata plus video footage plus medical records, game over. I hope every single day in prison reminds him of what he lost.